I'd like to introduce John Kennedy from England, and John has ME. Welcome, John.
Hello.
Could you tell us when you were diagnosed?
Well, that's a hard one because originally, back in sort of 1981-82, when I had a muscle virus, in the aftermath of that, the doctor had at the time suggested the letters ME, but sort of said, well, it's not really a recognised illness, but because she'd known me a long time, she said, really, said, that's all I think it can be, because you never come to see me unless you're really ill, because I wasn't, and the doctor's every 2 minutes kind of a person. And then my real diagnosis, after a few sort of skeptics over the years, was Andrew Wright, Dr. Wright, who was the specialist then, working for Bury Health Authority, but I think he was brought in from Bolton, and he was the one who really told me that I got ME from sort of asking me all the different questions and the like. And of course he's an ME sufferer himself, so he knows what we're talking about. So I would say it would be 2009.
So how old were you, John, when you had the first problems with this muscle virus?
Round about 30.
Right.
30 or 31.
Right. So I imagine you were quite an active person at that age, weren't you?
I was I had been a competition judo player.
Oh, right.
And I was still teaching judo in those days, and sort of at the end of a session I would fight every person on the mat, one after the other. So sometimes I'd fight maybe 12 people, one after the other, and sometimes 30, 35 people, one after the other. So I was, sort of an incredibly fit, strong and active person.
So how did it affect you when you had been diagnosed? What were your symptoms like at that point?
Well, the first set of symptoms were absolute, because it was such a contrast to my normal physical self. The symptoms of not being able to walk more than, maybe 20 or 30 feet without having to stop and rest. But that was one of the hardest things. I used to run 3 miles every day before then. The fact that I was in pain all the time, and tired, just incredibly tired. Not tired like I have had a busy day and I need to go to bed because I'm tired, but a sick, horrible, nagging tiredness that seemed to go to the bone. And sort of not being able to concentrate was a difficult one. And then I had at one point, as the ME seemed to cycle with me, at one point when the ME was bad, I had a headache that started in the October of one year and didn't go away until around about June the next year. That almost drove me insane.
That's some headache,
but it was all, Sorry?
That's some headache.
Oh yeah. It's just it was bad, but it was all part of the ME, because it was the headache and the ME were both there together at the same time. Obviously, until just recently, I would have been, if I had a headache for more than a couple of days, I would have started to worry. But I don't have to worry now. But when I went to see Dr. Wright, I've learned to pace myself a bit better, and not push myself as hard. And so, you know, sort of seeing him help, because, more than anything, it helped me because there were people there that actually believed there was something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And, you know, sort of some people thought of me more as a malingerer than a person that was ill. It's very hard when you want to go to work. But Dr. Wright was, you know, he pretty soon seemed to know, you know, what would help me.
Right.
Sorry?
So, when you went to see Dr. Andrew Wright, did he prescribe LDN on the first consultation with him, or did you have to wait a while?
It was quite a while before he suggested it, and he said, I think I've got something that may help you.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't help everybody. And he said, but it gives some people a certain amount of relief. It depends on the person as to whether they're willing to do what they need to do in the first place,
mm-hmm.
which is, you know, come off all their opiates. I have a friend in the US who is taking LDN but won't come off her opiates and doesn't understand why she's not being successful with it. You know, you can't do the two.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I mean, I came off the opiates, had about 6 weeks of insomnia coming off tramadol,
mm-hmm.
and was a bit, shall we say, testy at the time. I'm not a person who suffers from moods.
Mm-hmm.
Did have some side effects from the LDN at first. So, of course, the major one, in fact, the only one that I could think of, was that I had some more insomnia.
Right.
But that's well documented that happens to
mm-hmm.
some people. But that lasted about 3 weeks, shall we say.
Right.
I mean, after having had 6 weeks of it, and then another 3 weeks, I was, you know, I was ready to sort of kill and eat somebody. Yeah. But once the insomnia disappeared, everything else was terrific. I felt excellent, but I was taking the capsules.
Right.
Because I can't take liquid medicine. I couldn't even give liquid medicine to my children when they were small. Fabulous, and quite quick in its effect on me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I did question myself as to whether I was having a little oasis from my ME, or if it was the LDN.
Mm-hmm.
Discovered it was the LDN because in the April of last year, sort of soon after starting the LDN, I had to have surgery for a hernia, and of course I couldn't take the LDN because they wanted to give me morphine for the pain
mm-hmm.
after the operation, which I only took for half a day at the most, because I'm not a big fan of painkillers in the first place.
Yes.
But it took quite some time for the LDN to start working again when I started to take it, because I was getting over the surgery,
mm-hmm.
and
yeah.
I'd had some a very strong opiate with the morphine.
Yes.
But you know, once I was back on and everything's working fine, everything was going swimmingly.
Good. How long have you been taking LDN, John?
Since January of 2010.
Okay.
And it's been excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I had a slight problem recently about the LDN, because Dr. Wright was moved from being the specialist for people with ME to doing something else for the health authority, and he closed his private clinic, which meant I could not then obtain my LDN.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go to, I didn't have to go to, I went to a meeting of the primary care trust where I live, and they had an open meeting, The last thing on their agenda at their open meeting was to whether they were going to have open meetings in the future. So it was good timing. So I had a word with them, went back and spoke to them in their offices about their continuing duty of care to me.
Yeah.
Since it was, sort of somebody who worked for them who started me on the LDN. Their area health officer said there was no reason why they couldn't prescribe LDN, even though it's off-label. Which obviously gave me something to hook into. It took me then about another week before I managed to persuade them that they needed to continue and to prescribe it on the National Health Service.
Mm-hmm.
They had a focus. I had to alter their focus. Their focus was on why I couldn't have it and why they couldn't prescribe it. And I had to explain to them that they needed to alter their focus to find out why they could give it to me instead. I didn't care why they couldn't give it to me. All I was cared about was whether they could.
Yeah.
In the end, they instructed my GP to prescribe LDN. Her first question was, how much is this going to cost us?
Mm-hmm.
Which surprised me, because I'd given her all the information that we give to GPs, but she lost that information, and she was going to spend another 48 hours trying to find that information before writing prescription, which I wouldn't allow. And I insisted that she wrote the prescription on the day.
Right.
I got the prescription the following Thursday.
I can remember you phoning and telling me.
Mm. So now I'm, it's beginning to work again now.
Good. Because you had a few months, hadn't you, without having it? And you said that you were reverting back. A month.
Well,
yeah.
No, it was. I think it was about. I had some time without it when I had the surgery,
Mm-hmm.
but then I took my last tablet on the Monday that I went to see the PCT.
Yes.
So it was like 2 weeks without.
Yeah.
But it's taken 4 weeks for it to start working again.
Mm-hmm. I'd like to just ask, once you were taking LDN before you had to stop, what had it actually done for you?
Well, it's an interesting thing, because it moved me from. I have a mobility vehicle which will need to go back now because the LDN's working. Because I couldn't walk more than, oh dear me, I couldn't walk more than 30 metres without serious pain.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, most mornings when I got out of bed, I was in pain walking to the bathroom. The pain started as soon as you woke up.
Mm-hmm.
The tramadol really doesn't do very much for the pain. Not in real terms. But the LDN just seemed to mean that I wasn't tired. I slept better once I got past the insomnia. I slept better. I didn't have the brain fogs the same, so my ability to concentrate went up, much to the delight of my grandchildren. They were quite often, my granddaughter developed little tricks. She used to open my eyes and say, "Wake up, lazy bones," because she was used to me falling asleep.
Yes.
So now, I only fall asleep when they feed me too much, but doesn't everybody? But I was able to walk. I got to a point where I was walking about 5 miles.
Wow.
Still some pain, not perfect, but I'm not expecting perfection. I don't expect to be the same John Kennedy that I was when I was 30. That would be foolish. I've had ME all this time, and I expect that some things will not change. But it does mean that I lose weight because I'm able to go out and walk. It does mean I'm able to reduce in size. So I feel better about myself then.
Yes.
The interesting side effects for me is that when I take the LDN, I'm not as hungry. Mainly because I don't crave carbohydrates like I would do with the ME.
Right.
While I've been waiting for the Naltrexone to start working again, I've put on about 3 or 4 inches on my waist size because I've been eating loaves of bread, stacks of potatoes, loads of pasta, anything that's a carbohydrate I've been eating. And once you finish, you want to start over again. But that's now that the LDN's working, that's going away, and I'm not as hungry anymore.
Well, that's good.
Which is nice.
Yeah. Daft question, but will you be continuing to take LDN?
Oh no, I don't think I'll bother. They can try and take it off me again, but I've got to go and see the neurologist later in the month because they're giving me LDN on the NHS until I've seen the neurologist.
Right.
As I spoke to the neurology nurse, that Dr. Wright used to work with, and we talked about the fact that the nice treatment method for ME, with the CBT and the exercise regime, she knows from the notes that they've got that doesn't work for me.
Right.
And I'm unwilling to follow that regime. If he says come off the LDN and go on the CBT, in fact the nurse or the specialist that went through the CBT with me said I was the most positive sick person she'd ever met. She said if anybody didn't have a better attitude towards being ill, she'd never met them. Certainly not, sort of people with ME or CFS or, any of the other debilitating illnesses. So they tend to get very depressed.
Yes. And
you can do. I mean, it's when you've got the ME and it's like when I'm not taking the LDN, you just don't know how you're going to be the next day, and you don't know whether you're going to be able to almost... I mean, I couldn't remember people's names when the ME was bad. I could be talking to you 1 minute, and the next minute I wouldn't know your name. The brain fogs were that bad. So it's, to not take it would be foolish, wouldn't it?
It would. So what would you say to other people who are thinking of trying LDN for ME?
You have to be brave because you've got to stop your painkillers, you've got to stop your opiates, and you really do have to do it. If you're not prepared to do it, then you don't take the LDN. You can't take the two together because I've found by the fact that I had the morphine at the hospital, you cannot take the two together. But you just have to be brave and let it work, and just realise that it's not a miracle cure. It's not going to, your ME isn't suddenly going to finish, but you're going to feel so much better if you do the right things. You still have to do all the other things that you need to do. I mean, with me, I have to watch how much red meat I eat. I have to make sure that I eat plenty of raw vegetables and things, and fruit, and I feel an awful lot better, on top of that.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm seriously overweight, and I need to reduce that down. And that will help as well. But at least I can now exercise, and I've actually bought a bicycle.
Right.
And I'm going to go out on my bicycle and see just how much better the LDN is making me.
Mm-hmm.
But they should try, but they have to give it a serious try. Right? There's no maybe. You've got to really give it a good try and give it its best chance to work for them.
Mm-hmm.
But
well, we will eagerly await to see how you get on with your cycle rides in the summer, because it's the weather for going out on bike rides now, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
Spring
that's
has
what I'm
come.
waiting for. I've got arthritis as well. If I didn't have arthritis in my knees, then I think I would have been doing what I planned to do. When I had an oasis in the ME, I was going to run a marathon, but I might have to walk one. But we'll see.
Run, yes. Learn to walk before you run, don't they say?
Absolutely.
But it was lovely talking to you, John. Thank you very much for sharing your story.
Thank you for asking.
No problem.
All right then.
Yeah, so that was okay, wasn't it?
It was okay for you?
It was. Simon will go through it and edit any R's and ums and things and remove them, and everything else seemed absolutely fine.
That's good. He can remove all the bad jokes.
Well, I look forward to hearing from you again.
Hope. Okay. How are you anyway?
Really tired, but I'm okay.
You sound tired.
I am. I'm so tired I don't know what to do with myself. And I've got another lady who was going to be interviewed, and she said, can I call her back? It's about 11 o'clock my time. Oh.
Yeah, where's she?
America.
Right.
America, yeah.
Yeah. A friend of mine who's taking it for, what's she got? Oh dear. Cystic fibrosis? No.
No, fibromyalgia?
Fibromyalgia. But she won't come off her opiates.
Right.
I've got another friend with fibromyalgia. I'm trying to get her to start taking it. If she'd get it on the NHS, she would do.
Yeah.
She's just reluctant to pay for it.
Yeah.
So,
okay, well, I'll have to go.
All right,
get ready for the next one,
so
and then I'm going to crawl into bed. Okay then. Thanks very much, John. Okay, bye.